Hi, and welcome to the second video that provides demonstrations on the commands. This is part of Mplus Workshop 2. I'm going to start with talking about the variable command. In doing that, I'm going to be using demo3.inp. So the variable command is used to provide information about the variables in the data file. It tells Mplus the information that you know about the data representing details. So you need to make sure you tell Mplus what variables are there and what they're like and which ones you want to use. So I'm going to go into demo 3. So this is the demo 3 we were working on, the demo 3 file we were working on with the other commands. I'm going to scroll down to the variable command. So in here you can see that I have a command variable and then I have subcommands. I'm using 3 here, missing names, use variables, and missing. Now, names is used to identify every single piece of data, every single variable that's in the data set. If you this set implies that I have 6 different variables or 6 different columns or 6 data fields separated by some type of delimiter. If I have any more than that, this input statement will not work. If I have any less than that, it won't work. So I want to make sure it is exactly matching what you have. The common thing that'll happen, you'll miss one or you accidentally delete one, and it's just going to keep reading and just looking for delimiters. And if you stop it in 3, it's just going to wrap around and expect that the next data point is going to be V1. So you can get yourself into a lot of trouble if this isn't exact. So you gotta make sure that is correct. The next one is the use variable statement. And in the use variable statement, you include everything you want in that you're actually going to include in your model statement. Now I may only want to use 3 of the variables. And if that's the case, then I only need to include 3 in my use variable statement. The next one is missing. We talked about that a little bit during the last workshop, that you need to code all of your missing variables to a numeric code. You can't just leave it as a blank. You can't put in a special character either, because Mplus doesn't code or read in special characters. And -99 or -999 are good characters to use for the missing values. And here, and one of the options is that you could also say, oh, I actually only have one variable that has missing, and so you list that one variable that has the missing values. So I'm kind of skipping ahead to the option 8. I'm going to put that in a comment. But anyway, those are our 3 commands or subcommands for variable statements. So I'm going to go ahead and run this, and we see that Mplus is reading in properly, all of the variables that and has the names that we have provided for Mplus. So that's good. Other features about use variables that I want to go through. Let me line this up for you here. This is the place where you can use a categorical statement if you believe that one of your dependent variables should be treated as binary or ordered categorical. Then you can put the categorical statement in there, and it will run a logistic regression or some other type of regression, maybe a probit or a logit or some other type that you might want. And we'll go through exactly what those criteria are at another time. ID variables, also, if you want to either have this ID variable, you can use that. That helps with the save data command. But also you may want to state which of your variables is an ID variable and will not be included as a numeric variable in your model. We talked about missing. If you are doing a multi-level model, you would also want to tell Mplus which variables were measured at the within level and which are at the between level. All right, so now let's talk about the define command. It's used to create new variables that aren't in your data set. And I would suggest that you actually use SPSS or an alternative software to create your variables, but sometimes you won't have that option, and so define does work, and it actually is all the time they're providing more and more options for define. So in this case, There's define, and I can include, no, here we go again. There, okay, try this again. Let me scroll this down. There we go. And I am not going, that's the option of categorical and missing we've done. And okay, so here I could include a statement to calculate a new variable, actually replace KFT underscore V1 with the mean-centered variable. And if I do that, let me see, what is it not like? Missing option with summary data. So let me go back. I'm going to pause and correct. Oh, okay, I've made my corrections. And so there's my define command, and there's my centering statement. That's a subcommand. So now let me just go up and show you. I am saving and I am running, and it has created the additional variable, which is great. And then I can also use the define command in many other ways. For example, I'm going to actually comment this out and include this where I'm calculating an interaction term. And if I do create actually an extra variable, I'm going to have to include it in here in my use variables command. So here it is. Otherwise, it won't use it, and it'll just ignore it. And so I have included it now. Oh, I did that again, didn't I? So I'm going to have to. There we go. And I'm going to take that out. There, save, run. All right. So now, in addition to my other variables, I have this variable called INTR. And now I have the statistics for that as well. So that's everything I wanted to say about the variable and the define command. So now I'm going to go on to the analysis command using the W2 underscore demo4 INP file. So for this one, we are again using the KFT data, and there are the same variable data step variable, and now I have an analysis step that is different. I'm not doing analysis type equals basic. I'm actually doing an analysis that's something different than that. So let's take a look at our Word document. All right, here we go. So the analysis commands used to describe the technical details of the analysis. And the default is type equals general. And so here are a whole bunch of types that you can use. Most of the time you'll end up using basic and general unless you're using more complex models such as mixture 2-level, 3-level, cross-classified, etc. We will have an example of an EFA, which I'll go through, but we do have a different input file for that. All right, one of the things that you can do is you can actually request as a subcommand a different estimator. Now, Mplus uses maximum likely for continuous data and other types for categorical data or other types of distributions. And if you'd like to use a different estimator, please refer to the user's guide for that. And there's the pages. You also can use a different algorithm for estimating. Sometimes you can use even a Monte Carlo, you can use integration. And for some types of models, that is kind of going to be the only way you're going to get an actual solution. But those, again, are the more complex cases. And one of the things I really like about the analysis command in Mplus is that you can put this bootstrap here. Now, I mentioned if you have categorical data or if you have data that you think are not normally distributed, you could use other features of Mplus. But one of the things you might want to do is just use a bootstrap option to resample your data to calculate the standard errors for your estimates. And so here is an option where you can do that. All right, next we're going to talk about the model command. Now, the model command is used to describe the model to be estimated, and it also provides details on variables that where you might want to fix different values. For example, constraining variances to 0 or constraining correlations to 0 between variables. Again, those are, can't go into the details right now as to why you would do that, but those are just features that you can have. So we're going to talk about two different options here. So let me open up demo 4 again. All right, so here I have demo 4, and all the title, data, variable, and analysis steps are all there. Oh, I don't think I mentioned in the analysis step that you could use something called the MLR, a maximum likelihood estimator with robust standard errors. That's very useful if your variables are not are continuous but are not necessarily normally distributed. All right, so in the model command, in this case, I'm going to run a regression. So regressions are indicated by on. Dependent variable on independent variables. Here I have a simple one variable univariate regression. Just as an aside, confirmatory factor analysis are identified with the word by. If you want to indicate something about whether two variables are correlated or you want to constrain it, you would use the term with. So on, by, and with, those are important terms to use. All right, so we've got this regression. I have two variables. I put them up here in the use variables statement, so I'm not going to include any other variables in my model. I have various things here in the output, which I'm going to talk about later, but the one thing I want to make sure I include is standardized. If I don't include that, it's not going to provide me with the R-squared version, R-squared calculation. So I'm going to save this and run it. All right, so now I've run my regression, and there are my results. I have my coefficient for N1, I have my intercept, and then if I go down here, I will find my R-squared. So this particular regression, the Q1 variable explains 14.1% of the variance in the dependent variable. All right, so let's now look at a different model. Let's look at, go down here, let me turn off this regression, and now I'm going to do a confirmatory factor analysis. And for that, I'm going to define 3 different factors: a verbal, a numeric, and a figural, that way. And I'm going to actually just comment out this use variables. And by commenting it out, then the default is to use all the variables. And let's see what else I have down here. We haven't talked about that stuff yet. So let's just run it. Save and run. Okay, so now I have a factor analysis. I have the fit information makes more sense in that context. And here are my loads for each of the factors. Okay, and so for the last part of this particular video, I want to talk about the save data, the output, and the plot commands. So the save data is used to save the analysis data, any extra data that you have created, any variables, and you can use it as a command and a subcommand. The subcommand is used to tell what the name of the command, what the name of the file is. And let me show you an example of this. So in this particular case, I do have a save data statement when I'm running my CFA, and that is saving all of my data. And actually, it's just the data that we used for the analysis. So it's not really doing anything different than your input data. Your output statement, let me go back to here. All right. So the output statement provides a lot of information that will help you to analyze your results. And you can ask for confidence intervals. S values is really great because it provides the parameter estimates in a syntax format that you can use for Monte Carlo command. You can ask for sample statistics. You could standardized will give you your R-squared, and you can ask for others as well. I am actually almost out of time on this video. They're capped at 15 minutes, so I am going to stop there and talk about the plot in the next video.